Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show. Good morning.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How do I sound?
You sound different, but in a good way.
Oh, that's good, because I think my microphone's on the way out. So I'm using my Apple
headset.
Yeah,
Yes.
My Apple headset with a microphone in it.
Yes, you're much nearer to me.
Oh, okay. Well, it's much better then.
Yeah, it is.
Good.
Now, tell me about your week. You must be getting excited because your travels begin tomorrow, don't they?
Well, I do, yes. And in my usual typical fashion, it's all gone swimmingly up until the last minute, when I realised I do have to go to the Gold Coast after all. I was absolutely convinced that Neil told me it was in Sydney. I don't know where I get these hallucinations from. I really don't. So anyway, he announced yesterday that, yes, I did have to get from Sydney to Brisbane.
Okay.
And the good news is that I'm getting in on Wednesday and I'm not required in the Gold Coast till Saturday. So
Okay.
I can have a rest in Alex's flat and then fly up on Friday.
Okay, and back to Alex then, or what?
Yeah, and then back to Alex, yes. I'm staying in the Gold Coast till Monday.
Right.
No, Tuesday, because I've got a thing on Monday with Neil. And then and the conference is Saturday and Sunday. So then I'll go back to Alex's flat, and then my next engagement is the following week. I think I've got one thing every week.
Okay.
So, yes, I'm sort of looking forward to it now. And luckily the flights to Brisbane from Sydney are £71 return, so it's not going to kill the bank.
No, but you'll need a hotel, will you, or will you stay with Neil?
No, Neil's got an Airbnb fixed up, so two-bedroom Airbnb, so I'll just stay there.
All right, groovy. And does he no, he doesn't normally live in Brisbane, otherwise he wouldn't need an Airbnb. He normally lives in Sydney, does he?
He lives in Lisbon, actually. Now.
Oh, right, yes, okay,
Yeah,
I knew that. Yeah.
So yes, it's it's okay, and I'm trying to keep calm about everything. I don't have to leave till we got flights at 8:00 tomorrow evening, so we're not leaving Stupa till lunchtime, which means I can get up and get showered and get packed in plenty of time and drive down, drop the car off, and then get into the car that we're going to Athens in. So,
But that means you won't get into
I get into UK at 10:00
at night.
Yes.
So you won't get home until midnight or something.
No, Phoebe's picking me up.
Oh, right,
Gatwick.
okay.
Yes,
Okay.
in a car.
Oh,
With the windows open, presumably. Now, the other thing is, poor old Phoebe, she didn't get the job.
okay.
But she got a lovely email from them. She got down to the last 6 out of 100, and I suspect it might have been the writing task that let her down. But they said, they were so nice in the email, and they said they would really, they knew she'd get on with the team. She had particularly good skills on the video front and social media, and they would keep their ears open among their members for anyone who might be looking for someone with her skills.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, exactly. So you couldn't ask for better than that, really, if you're not going to get a job, could you?
No, that's right.
So, yeah. So what about your week then?
Oh, well, I'm not going to tell you about my week. I'm going to tell you about a couple of astrological points. And I know astrology is one of your keen interests, Nicola. So
Sure, then.
this is for me and our listeners.
You never know, Judith. That's what I say.
You never know. So today we're recording this on March the 6th, which is a Wednesday. And we would normally be recording tomorrow on the 7th, were it not for Nicola's travels. So coincidentally, March the 6th, 2019, Uranus, and you have to be very careful how you say that word, enters Taurus, which is my sign, and that hasn't happened in my lifetime, because the last time it happened was 84 years ago. Now, I have a client who's an excellent astrologer, and her name is Sally Kirkman, and Sally says that Uranus is the planet linked to innovation, change, technology, revolution, and rebellion. Taurus, as I know, rules the earth, nature, money, food, produce, building, sex, art, and manufacturing. These are some of the areas where change and innovation are on the way. Uranus in Taurus will speed up the process of change in the world.
Ooh,
it's quite exciting, and it starts today, and it lasts until quite a long time. It lasts for 8 years, something like that. I've forgotten it. Yeah, so this is not an overnight thing. It's going to be here with us for a while, and it's a good thing, but it will shake everything up. Now, to counter that, which slightly speaks to your point about Sydney and Brisbane, yesterday we went into Mercury Retrograde, which is something which happens for about 3 weeks, 3 times a year, and everybody goes, "Oh, Mercury Retrograde!" And there's this very funny meme that goes around on Facebook when Mercury Retrograde ends, where people go, where people say something like, "We can't play Mercury anymore, now it's just your fault." But Sally has a lovely take on Mercury retrograde. She says, no need to get your knickers in a knot. She says the usual Mercury retrograde advice is to back up important files beforehand, double check important dates, and delay key decisions or investments until Mercury turns direct at the end of March. Mercury retrograde has a useful function to slow you down, to stop you hurtling through life at breakneck speed, intent on reaching the next goal or dashing to the next destination without a glance on either side, all breathless and rushed. Mercury retrograde is the pause in the breath, the silence amid the noise, the chance to stop, think and reflect. It's a period that's best spent waiting, being patient, meditating, mulling over the next steps. And it's an important month to take some time out to ponder, meander and wander through life. Exactly the opposite of what you're planning to do in the next 3 weeks.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Now, she always says with travel, you should double check all of your arrangements all of the time.
I like the thought of meditating in the queues and
it's only 3 weeks now, July and October, and if in 3 weeks, 3 times a year, we've got to just pause where we are, double check everything, be patient. She always says it begins with words like rewind, rethink, reframe, all those, reinvent, all those kind of words. I'm
liking this a lot, and you'll find out why in a minute.
Exactly, it's a reframe. Okay, everybody goes, oh, nothing will happen and the communications will all go wrong. Well, they might, but not if you've double checked all your arrangements. Anyway, what I wanted to say was, for those who are interested, Sally has her own podcast. Guess who taught her how to do that? And she does it with her friend Christina, who is the Oxford astrologer. You can find a link to it at Sally's website, which is sallykirkman.com. But the brilliant thing, they do it once a month, obviously, because there's 12 star signs. And even though the two of them only speak once a month, they managed to keep it down to 30 minutes, which is really
that's outrageous.
Impressive. We've done 4 or 5 hours in that time. Anyway, so my week is, it's really about Uranus entering Taurus, which is quite an exciting thing for me. 84 years, only happens once in a lifetime, and it's today. Well, I'm so excited for you. I can't wait to see what it brings for you. The thing I pretty much know what it's going to bring for me, but I'm very excited. I'm very excited. Now, you tell me. Now, should we go straight into Fuel Your Fire, or is your point? Well, I was just going to say the things I particularly liked about that was the arts and technology and innovation. I liked all that a lot. Yes, so. I know. And major breakthroughs, some of which have been held back artificially because, there's too much profit in the other way of doing things. So it's going to be and revolution and rebellion. If that's not what we see going on with Brexit and Trump, I don't know what is. And did not your hero, Mr. Musk, is that his name? Elon Musk. Did he not release all his patents to the world for free yesterday? I don't know, did he? I think he did. It might be false news, what do we call it these days? But he basically said, for the good of the planet, I've got all of these patents up my sleeve and I'm just going to give them all away. Well, I better check that. I actually came across a bit I was about to share something the other day and I thought, I better just check that so I don't look like a complete idiot if it's not true. And did you put it into Snopes.com? I didn't. I just put it in with fake news in inverted commas in Google. Yes. And it did come up that it was fake news. So interestingly, I read this morning, you can't trust those sites that tell you whether or not the news is fake or not. Yeah. You can't trust the sites that tell you whether or not it's fake. Well, I didn't go to that. I just went to Google itself and typed in, 3 words plus. Yeah, but what I'm saying is the way we check things may also be suspect. Oh my God! Can't believe exactly. So actually, you make your own reality by deciding what you want to believe, don't you? Right. Go back to your point. That was it really. Oh, well, I forgot what. Did you tell us the context? No, I can't remember what the actual thing was I was going to share because I didn't share it in the end. So no. Well, do you know what? When I see things like that and I share it, I often share it saying, I hope this is true. And also I share it choosing to believe it's true. Yes. And actually, if people come back on and say this is false news, I just ignore them, frankly. Yeah. That's very good. Right, now tell me what's fueled your fire. Well, I've had quite a few days, Judith, I can tell you.
there's been a rash of no. Let me start again. The girls are always trying to encourage me to enter competitions with my writing.
Writing girls, Write Club girls.
Writing girls, yes. Yeah. And I have not had any bandwidth for it at all. I go to the sites, I look at the rules, I think I can't even begin to absorb any of that, and I go away again. And something's happened recently. I've got more bandwidth, I think, literally just in the last couple of weeks, because as you know, 2 weeks ago I was quite stressed. And so I was thinking about this, and there was one competition that was coming up, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to enter that. So I just went through my story one more time. I've got a short story. I've had an idea for a short story. It's a sort of sci-fi fantasy Greek vampire story based on a legend around these parts. And I've had the idea in my head for a while. And I just knocked it out and said, I got up on Sunday morning and thought, I haven't got much to do today apart from cook me dinner tonight. I'm going to write that story. And I wrote it, and I wrote it to the competition brief, so it was the right length and everything. And then I entered it, and then I thought, while I've got this story sitting here, I might as well just see if there's any other competitions to enter it to. And the next one was I had to cut it down from 3,000 words to 2,000 words, which was quite a challenge, but called for some tight editing. And I got it in for that as well. So then I did a Google search for any more, came up with 5 or 6 more. So I entered into all of those. And so then that was quite a productive day. And by this time it was sort of 9 o'clock in the evening. I'd put my dinner in to cook. It was a leg of lamb and I didn't have to do anything to it. So I was thinking, let's watch some good telly now, because you fired me up all your talk about films and everything. And I thought, let's find something new to watch. So I started watching a new thing called American Gods. Now, you won't have seen it because it's sort of...
I know what it is, though, because it's a novel. And I know that Barrow's watched it all.
Oh, has he? Well,
yes.
I started watching it, and it's got Ian McShane in it.
Yes.
I think he's playing the devil. But
Ian McShane is good, isn't he?
He's fantastic in it.
There's a thing he's in that I've never watched called Deadwood, but do you remember how much we used to love him in that thing called Lovejoy, which was about the dodgy antiques dealer?
Yes, I love that, yeah.
But he is brilliant. He's gone to Hollywood. Yeah. He's got this fabulous career now as a real proper baddie.
Yeah, no, he has, and he's just unreal in this. And he's up against... The protagonist is a huge black guy whose name escapes me at the moment, but he's absolutely gorgeous. He's about 6'8", and next to Ian McShane, they look really comical together. Yeah. He's his bodyguard. And but the thing about it is the actual cinematography on it is just fantastic. Yeah. It reminds me of Preacher, which is another series that I'm really, really enjoying. And I was sitting there watching those two things. And the other thing the girls have been talking about in the Right Club group is screenwriting. And I really didn't pay any attention to that at all, because I thought, I've got no idea how that's done. I was watching this American Gods, and I thought, oh my God, wouldn't it be fantastic to be able to write a screenplay for something like this? So then I went online and I just looked up. I did American Gods script, a screenplay, and I just did a search for it. And it turns out you can actually buy the pilot episode script for $15.
Oh.
And it's signed by all the actors. So I bought that. And then I thought, I wonder if there's one for Preacher. So I went looking for that, and I found that as well. I bought a signed copy of the pilot episode for that as well. And then I thought, I sort of started seeing snippets of what a screenplay looks like.
Yes.
And then I thought, oh my God, this looks fantastic. It looks so simple.
Yes. I don't think it is, but it doesn't matter.
Well, the point is that it was midnight on Sunday by now. And I was looking up examples, and I was going through the thing that Trees would put in the Right Club group. And I was thinking, I'm sure I could do this. So then I went to bed and I thought, I'll look at it some more tomorrow. I went to bed, and obviously something percolated in my head, because I woke up the next morning, got in the shower, and had an idea for a screenplay. A serial killer, Luther meets Preacher, set in the UK with a female protagonist as a detective. And I thought, where did that come from? It just completely downloaded into my head with all of the ideas and the plot twists and everything. And I just thought, oh my God. So I got my story grid template out where you capture your the sort of main outline of the thing, and I wrote it all down in like 5 minutes. And then I thought, no, this is ridiculous, I've got to go and do some proper work. I had 7 videos to record for my 1-minute videos, and I couldn't make myself do them, Judith. I was just compelled.
It's too exciting, isn't it?
Compelled to go and find some screenwriting software, decide which one I wanted to use. There was only one that did episodes. So I thought, well, that's the one for me. So I just opened it up, watched a video on YouTube on how to use it. And next thing I know, I'm 26 pages into a 45-page screenplay. and it's all just pouring out of me. I'm not joking. I didn't stop writing to that.
Well, you know what that's called, don't you?
What?
It's
No
going to
idea.
freak you slightly. It's called channeling when you download it like that.
Well, I remember when I wrote the sales letter for the money gym, it downloaded just like that.
Yeah, and I downloaded that email I wrote on Monday about the 43 questions about money.
No, I never thought you'd actually written that.
I did. What do you mean?
God, well, there were so many of them.
I wrote myself from my bed. I think it was 7 emails in the middle of the night before, because that just downloaded to me at like between 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning, and then I got up and typed it up and it turned it into a blog post and put it in my newsletter for tomorrow.
Wow. It is this
is quite freaky, and I want to make a prediction here. I've got so much to say on what you've just said. Okay, first of all, American Gods is written by Neil Gaiman, who is our most favourite writer of all time as a human being. Oh, what?
I'd never heard of him, but I tell you something even more spooky, right? Facebook have been showing me his writer's masterclass for a month now.
Well, now wait, I was going to mention masterclass because you know that website, which I think is called Masterclass, isn't it? Yes. Now, the best screenwriting thing on there is Aaron Sorkin, who's the man that does what they call the walk and talk things, which is West Wing, Newsweek.
Okay.
All of the best television programs I've ever watched, you can learn on Masterclass from Aaron Sorkin to script writing.
Yeah.
Now, hundreds of my clients, slight exaggeration there, 5 at least are into screenwriting. My writers are into screenwriting. They love the idea of screenwriting. And still further, screenwriting, which I spoke to you about last week, which was my Samuel L. Jackson quote, if you remember. Screenwriting and cinematography were the ones that the Oscars thought they might hide in the adverts this year because on the basis that nobody was interested in them.
Oh, my God. And do you know how much?
Without cinematography and without a screenplay, you couldn't make a bloody movie.
Yeah. The thing I love about it, most of all, we're actually having a Right Club emergency meeting about this this afternoon. Because Teresa Wrights has been writing plays and screen scripts. Anyway, the thing I love about it is you don't have to worry about adverbs, adjectives. You don't have to write about...
No, it's dialogue in the main, isn't it?
You don't have to worry about what they're wearing.
It's dialogue in the main. You basically, it's how the story moves along through what the people say.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's effortless for me, Judith. Effortless. I just cannot believe it.
Yes.
I can't believe I didn't know about this. And I can't believe I didn't know about it when the most lowly jobbing scriptwriter gets paid $3,000 a month, and the rest of them get between 10 and 50 grand per episode.
Well, I'm going to make a prediction that actually, when you said I had to stop channeling writing because I needed to do my proper work, I think this is going to become your proper work. And also, I shared something earlier in the week about the season 5 of Bosch coming back, and then I saw on the telly, and you remember they wrote 20-something. Michael Connelly wrote 20-something books before it turned into a television program. And what they do is they take 2 or 3 of his books and turn it into one of the series, which is a shame. But they showed the writer's room, and you know how Americans write screenplays for telly is by committee. You have a dozen talented people in the room, and they story arc it on the wall on little post-it notes, and then they turn it so they, you could end up in a screenwriting room.
But, the thing is, Judith,
it's ultimate creativity, Nicola.
It is absolutely true, yes. And it makes me feel so alive, I know. And the other thing is, I can't believe that if I wouldn't have been able to do this, if I hadn't joined Right Club, if I hadn't learned about story arcs and archetypes and all that stuff, and if I hadn't been listening, I'm not joking, to about 100 episodes of Story Grid podcasts where they go into all of these details, so that when I was ready to sit down and write this screenplay, I had all that in my head already.
Yeah.
I had it all. I'd learnt it all. I was ready to go. And it's just, honestly, I could cry. I really could cry. And you go to the BBC website and you can get scripts. I've just downloaded a script for The Bodyguard. Because the first episode of The Bodyguard made my heart stop. It was so good.
Yeah.
And then I looked at Silent Witness, and you can get scripts for Silent Witness, just because I want to see how those seminal moments that I remember so clearly as being jaw-droppingly good, like the opening sequence on Preacher, I want to see how they look on a script.
Well, don't forget they're embellished by all the other talent that gets involved.
Well, absolutely, yes.
But also... what do I like? Yes, all the programs that we love best on the telly, things like
Happy Valley.
Sally Wainwright stuff, Happy Valley, Last Tango in Halifax, all of that. That's what she does. All the stuff we like best is where the screenwriting is awesome. Yes,
and I needed to know what awesome screenwriting looked like, because it was feeling too easy to me.
Yeah,
I was thinking I must be doing something wrong here, because it just feels too easy.
Well, when it's right, it's easy, Nicola.
Yeah, I mean, I could just sit here and cry. I really could. I'm 57 years old and I didn't know about this.
Yeah,
What?
but it doesn't matter because 57 is young.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yes. Anyway, it's just completely galvanised me, as you can tell.
Yes, I can. And I can remember the last time I felt that, actually, which was standing in the shower in London and thinking, I'd rather work on my marvellous idea today than go out and do what I've got to do. When you've got that, when you're on fire with that, it's just brilliant, isn't it? Yeah,
I had to stop myself writing at 9 o'clock last night because yesterday I wrote all day again. And I had to stop myself. I had to stop because I needed food, and it was cold, and I needed to light the fire. Yeah. It was like I'd forgotten about everything else. I was just writing and writing. Well,
it's interesting that we've both done a bit of this channeling this week because I remember going to the first writing event with Tom Evans, and there were several people with me. One of whom was Janet Swift, who was incredibly spooky. And Janet Swift was channel writing all day, and I thought, oh, for heaven's sake, it's like, what do you mean? Why can't I tune into this? Why isn't something downloading through me? And then eventually it starts.
Yeah. I think you have to do the work, the prep work, so that your instrument is ready, and then just hold yourself open, and then ideas, it's like my idea for my book.
Listen to you.
I know.
5 minutes ago, if I said that to you, you'd have thought I was a nutter.
I know I wouldn't, because I'm feeling it.
No, I mean, when I say 5 minutes ago, I mean in the context of our relationship. Turned into a nutter, haven't you, like me?
Yeah, I have a little bit, yeah. But, it's like my book idea didn't come to me for months. And writing the book, I'm only 20,000 words in. The thing I quite like, I'm not giving up on the book, but I think this could be, when I have one of those, it's like an entrepreneurial seizure, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Business.
Absolutely. As you were describing it felt exactly the same. Yeah.
But I could, because you only have to write a pilot for a screenplay, for a series, you could have the overall idea for the series, write the pilot, start sending it off, and then go back to your novel. And actually,
you don't have to do both if you don't want to. You could just become a screenwriter.
Yeah, I know, but I don't like giving up.
Now, can I just say, I don't want to pour a damper on it because I'm knee high, eyebrow high in Esther Hicks. And I don't want to say but, so I'll say and screenwriting is a fine art. I don't want to say it's easy. I don't think it's any easier than any other sort of writing. Sooner or later we get to the place where I don't even want to say it's hard. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's the same as everything else we've ever learned to do, which is if it's worth doing, it's worth piling in, and sometimes that's challenging. That's all. I'm not. I'm not a damper downer.
Absolutely. But I also don't know many people who would have spent every waking minute for the last month listening to a podcast about writing. I've been downloading everything.
Can we go back to the beginning of this? And you said you worked out how to apply for a writing competition. I was so mind blown by what you said. I've only written down you said I've got a story which is a sci-fi. Was it dinosaurs or lizards? What was it?
No, it's a sci-fi vampire story.
Vampire story. Okay.
Yes,
right.
And I've written it. I had the idea a long time ago, last summer in fact, but I've managed to stop myself going anywhere near it. So it's obviously been because I didn't want to get distracted from the book, and it's obviously been.
Yeah, but the book's only ever been a struggle, whereas what you're talking about this week is not a struggle.
No, this has been joyful and ecstatic. And
I'd just jump ships. Honestly, I would.
Well, I don't have to, do I? Like you said, and I can come back to the book whenever I've.
You can, and it's possible that this experience might make that easier. Who knows?
Yes. So I've got a list of the top 10 screenwriting competitions in the world. Big prizes, Judith. Big prizes.
Yes, I know.
And much bigger than the literary prizes. So I'm gonna get this first one done. And then I was standing at the show this morning, and I had this other idea, and I was like, oh god, I can't anymore.
Well, then, do you know what I would do if I were you? I'd get an audio recorder and just blurt it all into there.
Yeah.
Can I go back to the writing competition? And I'm trying not to pour scorn on your parade, or whatever the expression is. Did you check? Did you check when you entered the same story, albeit in different lengths, to the different competitions that you were allowed to submit the same story to multiple competitions?
You are, but if you get shortlisted for or longlisted for any of them, you have to withdraw.
You have to pull out. Yeah. Okay. All right. Groovy. Yeah. Okay. Good.
No, don't worry. I'm skimming the rules.
Well, it's just that as you said at the beginning, I go there and I look and I think, I can't really be bothered.
Yeah. No, I am reading the rules on this one. Don't worry.
Okay. All right. Good. And the only reason I know that is because one of my writer clients tells me things like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, shall I tell you what's fueled my fire?
Yes, please.
Quite dull by comparison, I would have to say. I do have three things to tell it here. That none of them were dull until you started talking about becoming a screenwriter. Okay. So last week or the week before, I read you this nice testimonial that we'd had from Kerin, who lives in Australia.
Oh, yes.
She described us as raw. Do you remember?
Yes, I do remember.
And you said, I wonder what she meant. And we had a conversation about it, which many, many people have commented on by PMing me and things. So
Really?
we asked her to clarify. And she replied as follows, and I know you know the answer to this, but I'm going to share it with the listener. Hello, Judith. I was listening to your podcast from today. You asked me to get back to you to clarify raw. I can't find the post again, so I'm messaging you here to make sure you get this. Nicola was right about raw meaning open with emotions. It's about the fact that you just say it as it is without all the fluff. It's real, unfiltered, and not overproduced to be perfect. It just is. I absolutely love that so much. I certainly didn't mean amateur. So next time you hear somebody call you raw, take it as a huge compliment. Thank you both so much for sharing yourselves so openly and willingly. I hope this helps, Kerin. It most certainly does, Kerin, and I passed it on to Nicola in text as well as to the listener today.
Yes, lovely. And if you heard the bits I edit out, oh.
Now, number two, last week I told you about the potential new client who Googled, found me, bought the book, read half of it, booked herself into my diary. I did the intro session with her on Thursday afternoon, and on Friday she joined Small Business Big Magic, which was a wonderful outcome for both of us. And for the second time this week, I'm going to tell you when it's right, it's easy. And now to something that isn't easy, and I haven't made my mind up about it, but I forgot to mention to you last week that I have begun the process of creating my paid newsletter with the two different levels.
Oh, excellent.
By going to Substack. And only so far, all I've done is just bag my own name. But once I was there, I realized you can import your list from MailChimp. So if I decide to go that route, that would be easy. I might need some help with banners, but we'll see. I've realized I could do this manually with segmentation at MailChimp. Now, the benefits of doing it on my own rather than a third-party platform, well, we know that, don't we? Because third-party platforms can be a risk. Yeah. Or I could do it on Patreon, or I could not do it at all. I'm still in two minds about this. Most enthusiastic not to add anything more to my own to-do list. But I wanted you to know I bagged my name at substack.com.
Very nice. Yeah, I went and had a look myself, actually, because I was quite intrigued by the idea.
Well, now you've got quite good at rules, you mean? It's not all that complicated, is it? Right, let's do focus of the week, which is about, and I'm going to get you to go first here because I've got a very long list. It's about, and it came out of that channeling I did in the middle of the night and the 43 questions about money. What's blocking your abundance is what I thought we'd talk about today. And when I flagged it to you, you came up with loads, and I went, cut them down, we only need three. Give us your three, Nicola. What do you think is blocking most people's financial abundance?
Well, first, I came up with several obvious ones which weren't mine, and then I started thinking about more personal reasons why because I have found money a challenge my whole life, and I don't know why particularly. My three, shall I tell you my three and then we'll talk about it?
Yes,
because we don't realise money's a game. That was the one I came up with first, that was more personal, because we've been brainwashed by school and society to believe that certain income levels are normal. And then the next one I came up with was because we're not willing to forego time, fun now in return for a better future. And that's from watching all the people around me. That's not me. I do forego time, fun now in return for a better future. I love to learn new things, and learning new things help you earn more. So those are my three, but I could come up with loads more.
Oh, no, that's two. Money's a game.
Money's a game.
Not willing to forego.
We're
brainwashed is I thought brainwash. Okay, so the brainwashing one, I saw somebody we like and now who I've forgotten, making the same point yesterday actually about schools and education, and how it behoves the state in effect to make most of us rather boring, so that we will go and serve the state by doing dull jobs. So I've got rather a lot here. I'll give you my first two. I think clutter is a block to abundance, a superfluity.
I agree. Yeah.
Superfluity of stuff, because you can't have any clarity.
No.
And every book that I've loved or we've loved between us, from Sandy Forster's Wildly Wealthy Fast to the current one that everybody's talking about by Tosha Silver, they all start with clearing your clutter, because, you know, Sandy Forster got everybody to clear their clutter and take it to, you know, sell it on eBay and take it to charity shops and blah, blah. You need space to download something new.
I can't even have a cluttered desk. I can't work with a cluttered desk.
I definitely think, certainly when I was an accountant, I don't need to do it anymore, because we don't need so much stuff to work anymore. I practically only need a computer. I almost don't even need pen and paper anymore. But anyway, when I was an accountant, I used to tidy up my desk last thing at night, so when you came in the morning, it was nice and clean to make a start on. But anyway, I don't think it's just that sort of clutter. I think it's every sort of clutter. This house I'm living in is absolutely chock to the gunnels, but I tell you what I've managed to do. I managed not to see it.
Yes, you can start to ignore it.
I blocked it out of my peripheral vision and out of my awareness, to be honest. So the other one, of course, for you and me and everybody we know, is ideas, because for some people they're sexier than money.
Well, I've always wanted to find a way of making money from my ideas and nothing else, not having to do anything with them beyond having the ideas.
Yes, well, my brother always says, you know, there's no money in ideas, Judith, it's in the implementation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. I think money is not a motivator to quite a lot of people I know, because there's no scarcity in their household.
That's true. Yes, and is that because they've swallowed the brainwashing from schools, gone and got jobs, had pensions, done savings, not lived beyond their means?
Usually it's because their significant other does that.
Oh, okay.
so there's an air of abundance in their household. So money isn't scarce, so that blocks their abundance to them personally. Does that make sense?
Oh, I see. So they haven't got
it's not. No, you and I are quite driven to make money.
Yeah, because there's nobody paying our bills.
Some of my clients who aren't particularly motivated to make money, or who don't find money a motivator, is because there's no scarcity in their household.
We have this discussion quite a lot about writing and getting paid and being published properly or self-publishing. And Steph always says, "You're only in it for the money." I said, "No, I'm not in it for the money. But why do something that doesn't pay?"
Well,
when
you and I our take is very commercial on everything.
Yes.
We like money, we like profits, we like
business.
businesses.
We pay the bills.
Well, and also we like to see, that's how the world works. You know, you buy something, somebody else does well out of it. You hire somebody, they earn money out of it. That's how it works. Anyway, here's one that I like a lot. People tend to attach something negative to money and to people who've got money. And at the moment, I don't blame them. If you look at somebody like Jacob Rees-Mogg, you know, he, and if you were too sort of A or Z-ish, you know how people can be A or Z, black or white, nothing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I don't want to be like him, so I won't make any money.
Yeah. Well, my mum used to say something classic, and it took me years to get over it. She used to say, "Money can't buy you love." And she seemed to be implying that the only people who would give you love were poor people.
Yes, or you wouldn't be lovable if you had it.
Yes. Well, no, I never interpreted it that way around, because I never imagined having money.
No.
Well, that's not true. I always thought I was a princess in disguise. So obviously I had money tucked away somewhere where my father, the king, or mother, the queen, came to get me. But, you know, when it came to love, I always interpreted that subconsciously as the only people who are loving are poor people. Rich people aren't loving.
That's rubbish, isn't it?
I know. I didn't even know I had that belief till I started learning
I've got lots more. Do you want them?
Yeah, go on.
A lot of my clients are what is known as a sandwich woman. Do you know what a sandwich woman is?
No,
You're sandwiched between the needs of your children and the needs of your parents.
Oh,
so
God.
Just as your children are turning into teenagers and or leaving home and going to university, your parents are getting poorly and dying across the other side of the country. So there's actually no time for you and your career and your money-making activities, because you're just too busy being a nursey and a nanny to everybody else.
And everyone expects a woman to do that.
Yes, and somebody said to me, "I'm a very thin slice of ham." in my as a sandwich woman, like very, very thin slice of ham. I can't remember who it was now, but it was a great expression.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, here's one that's limited my own abundance in the last few years. A low vibration, and I realise this because of Esther Hicks, where the world has depressed me and lowered me and depressed me and lowered me and depressed me and lowered me.
Yeah.
You know, everything. Yeah. It's made me very sad.
You've had some real bad things.
I have, but not just that, but not even the things that affect me personally, but the things that are going on in the world. I've allowed them to flatten my vibration to almost zero, and that will block abundance. I mean, certainly since I've spoken to you last, I did my accounts for February, and on the 1st of March due to 2 or 3 sudden new clients, one of which was a complete surprise, one of which was very fast, and my PPI check. Suddenly I'm like 3 months better off than I've been for quite a long time. And that raises your vibration and makes you more attractive and more money comes in.
Yeah. And I do definitely think you've had, I mean, you just, because sometimes you say things on the podcast and I think, I totally don't agree with that, but I'm not going to argue with her because I know how she's feeling at the moment.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have moved before Esther Hicks, which I'm now in beginning week 3, I had moved my vibration from anger about politics to sadness about politics. But sometimes when I look at the news apps every day, I think, oh my God, the things that are going on. Anyway, we won't go there. So a lot of my clients who have to do something by way of a day job, that isn't spectacularly well paid, they have to do it for 5 days a week, not 2 days a week, and that leaves them so knackered and drained.
Yeah.
Well, that's just another blocker.
Yeah, it totally is. And because imagine how I wouldn't have been able to do any of the things I've done this week and follow yesterday I thought to myself, I'm supposed to be making 7 1-minute videos, but I could do that later in the week. Let me just write all day. You can't do that, can you? If you want to be somewhere.
No. Here's another one. My needs are few. We've got decades of practice at eking and living like a church mouse. So we do terribly well on a low level of income and recycling things and making our own things and make, do and mend and all the things that have been forced on us. Or we choose because we think they're thrifty or good for the planet or whatever. We've got so much practice at doing it that way. That's another blocker. I
agree. I think that people just get, well, I'm naming no names.
No.
But I just know people who have got, it's like a tightening downward spiral of scarcity.
Yeah.
And there's no way that they can psychologically break out of that unless something happens. But then
you turn the vortex the other way around.
Well, you have to, because even if something happened, like you won the pools or whatever, if you're in that kind of mindset, you will just lose it again in a nanosecond.
I know.
You're not comfortable there.
Do you know the one I was surprised you didn't bring up? Low self-esteem, which is, lack of confidence to ask for what you're really worth when it comes to pricing. So all my clients start out cheap, and it's very difficult to raise your prices from cheap.
Yes, it is. It is. I mean, well, I didn't go there because the others popped into my head first.
Yes, no, yours are the good ones. Showing up other people by overtaking them.
Oh, okay. So, for example,
I can't earn more than my parents or my husband.
Yeah. Or I can't charge more than my coach because she's my coach. And in fact, I deliberately charged more than my coach when I first started because I thought I'm not starting cheap, and if she charges that much, I'm going to charge that much.
Another one of mine is what will people think?
Oh, okay. Is that actually one of yours?
Well, no, it's not. I mean, one on my list. What I'm saying is, what other people think of you and your money and the way you handle it is none of their business. Doesn't stop people poking their beaks in, though, does it? Or our fear that they will.
Oh, the funny thing about Greeks is they have absolutely no inhibitions about that at all. Within 5 minutes of a conversation, they'll be asking you whether you own your house, if you rent it, how much you're paying rent, and what you earn a year.
Okay, so that's a very British thing, being polite about money.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There's another one that wasn't on my list, being polite about money.
Yes. Instead of being nosy and interested.
And when we were taught, weren't we, when we went to work, don't ask people what they earn.
Oh, my God, yes.
Yeah.
But do you know, there's a lot of, just today I found out about a spreadsheet that was started by an ex-Google employee that encourage people to go and put in what they're being paid for certain jobs. And they put in their sex and their racial ethnicity. And it's really starting to show people what creative people are being ripped off, and how women and people of ethnic minorities are just being so underpaid.
Yes, well, I mean, anybody will underpay you if you let them get away with it.
Well, that's true, yeah.
Now, my list goes on, but I'm not going to do it because what I'd like to invite the listeners to do is pop into our group and tell us, if they're brave enough, what do you think is your blocker to abundance?
Yeah, this is a conversation we never get sick of, do we?
No, I think we could come back to this. We did with Law of Attraction, we could do part 2 on this one because it's not real, it's emotional.
Yeah, it is. It's all in your head. It's all in your head.
I think there's another thing as well, which, my favourite word that clients use, or quite the opposite, which is struggle. One of our listeners put something in our group this week about, I've struggled with this for 10 years. Well, Esther wouldn't let you struggle with anything for 10 minutes, let alone 10 years.
No, absolutely. Do you think that all the things that have happened to us over the last couple of weeks are down to the fact we've been listening to Esther? Because I've carried on listening to her.
Yes. It certainly raises your vibration a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that means that you're vibrating on a physics level, and you're attracting things faster and more and quicker.
I know.
Oh, I've got something wonderful to tell you here, which ties those two things together so wonderfully. Somebody just bought my book and paid double what the last person paid.
Oh, groovy, $20.
Yes.
Oh, brilliant.
Do
you see, that's so on point, Nicola, because what it does is it stretches. You remember actually your historic experiences with Pay What You Want have been quite scarce, haven't they? You had to stop doing it because you felt devalued. But actually the opposite is happening now. They're paying more. And what it does is it stretches that first time that person paid me 250 quid for an hour, you go, it just stretches what other people can stretch your own self-worth.
Yeah.
That's why I like Pay What You Want, because it's a real experiment. You've got to be absolutely delighted whether they pay you £1 or £250, and that's a test.
That's a really good idea.
It's a what? Can you say?
Well, Phoebe really struggles with making videos for people and knowing what to charge.
Yep.
She would do it for free because she loves doing it. So she ought to do it on a Pay What You Want basis.
She could. However, you need to talk to her, or I do, because people find that quite scary when they're going to pay you. Yeah, they don't know how to form it. So I've got, a sentence.
Guidances.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And also I've got like 3 windows. And I've worked out as well now that I never want to work for less than £1 a minute. So it's 60 quid an hour plus. And if people buy less than that, one of my clients currently is paying, I think, £45 for 30 minutes, which is more than that. But, it's £1 a minute, I think, is quite a nice thing. And do you remember there was that man called the Minute Coach? He used to charge like that as well. No. But I've got 3 bands where people pay me, up to 60, then 60 to 100, then 100 plus. And I always say you just choose your own reality within there.
Yeah.
And the most recent person who actually isn't rolling in it, but she chose 60 quid, which I thought was interesting.
Well, one of my heroes, Justin Brooke, who we interviewed for the summit, he does all his products on a Pay What You Want basis. And lovely. I absolutely know that when I was really, really skint and down on my uppers, I got his one of his courses. It must have been one of his Facebook ad courses. And I couldn't afford to pay him anything. But I thought, no, this is embarrassing. I can't pay him that little. So, because I could have paid $1 to get it. But actually, I ended up paying $97 because I felt that was a good mix between what I couldn't afford and what he was worth.
Yes.
Yeah. So, it does work, doesn't it?
And actually, people are very worried they're going to insult me. And I say, you can't insult me.
No, I've got the hide of a rhino.
You can't insult me. I think somebody paid their tenner once and that insulted me. But that's about me, not about her. Now, let's just conclude this section. What's blocking your abundance? If you're brave enough, come into our Facebook group and tell us, either agree with the ones we've offered or give us your own, because we love new ones where we can go, because that helps us.
Could you, as a starter for this conversation, post your post into that group? With the one with
I could. I'll do it next week if that's all right, because it's
of course.
It's coming out in my newsletter first.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Always.
Yeah, but actually, I think the 43 questions are a little bit overwhelming for some people as well. Actually,
pick out your top 10.
That's quite hard.
I know.
Because when it's channeled to you, it's a lump.
It's a complete thing.
It's a whole thing. Yes, it is. Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah. Now, let's skip on. Otherwise, we'll be here forever. What is your word of the week?
Ideas.
Okay.
Because they just keep coming.
Yeah.
It's frightening.
Well, I do love ideas. Sexy. And mine is prosperity for obvious reasons, because my focus this week has been on abundance and that 43 list. Now, let's go to project updates. PUs. I like to call these PUs.
PUs, yes. Well, I've just completely screwed myself because I've just told you everything that I had written.
Well, I can bore you, if you like, about my Worthing situation. Well, bad news on the one you recommended to me. Actually.
Oh, no.
Well, first of all, my outstanding mortgage is 99,000. Let's call it 100K. And Zoopla says it's worth 130,000. Your estate agent said 80,000, and could she sell it to a builder friend of hers for 65?
Oh, no. I'm shocked. I really am.
Yeah. Fortunately, the other people came back with 150,000, but you'll probably only get 120 because your lease is so short.
Is that MJ?
No. I only did one of yours. the one where Chloe's friend works. Don't say their name out loud, but that was my one.
Was it? Hang on, I've got to ask though. Was it her?
No, because she's in rentals.
Oh, bugger.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I mean, the woman that dealt with me was marvellous, but the size of my mortgage and the size of...
Well, it's just ridiculous, isn't it?
Well, I just said, sorry, that's not going to work. But in a way, that was good. And the other man gave me quite a comprehensive thing of, if you extended the lease, which would cost quite a lot of money, it could be worth 150,000. I haven't got it. I'm selling it because I haven't got the service charges. So, to suddenly find 20,000 to extend the lease. But he said we could sell it for 150,000. You could use 20,000 of the proceeds to extend the lease at that, on completion day.
Oh, that's interesting.
I know. So he came up with lots of good ideas.
Very proactive.
Yes, I haven't spoken to him yet. I'm going to do that tomorrow because I've been very busy this week. So the lease extension is an issue because the remainder is only 68 years, and you need something like 90 to be mortgaged.
Yeah, I thought 90 was the number that popped into my head.
Anyway, I've also got another issue which is quite interesting. I'm going to explain this to you because it's fascinating. All 4 of my buy-to-let mortgages, through no plan or design, are with the same lender. And that lender was one of those, it wasn't Northern Rock, but it was one of those that was bailed out by the government in the credit crunch. So technically that meant that they started to suddenly encourage us to repay our mortgages because they wanted to be able to repay the government, or rather there was pressure on the government to not owe the taxpayer for any longer than necessary. And in the end, what happened was fairly recently in the last year, they sold out, presumably for enough money to repay the government. They sold out to what looks like a management buyout of the key personnel of that company, so they got the government off their backs. But when in those years between the credit crunch and last year when they were bought out or bought themselves out, they found this iffy clause called a right to consolidate, which because of their pressure to repay the government meant if I sold any single one of my 4 properties, they could keep all of the proceeds to pay down the other 3.
Oh, you're joking.
So there was it is legal. It's called a right to consolidate. But the problem was that if you can't make the profit, there's no point in selling one.
No.
Because you're trying to, even with Worthing, I'm trying to get some cash out of it. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah.
Might as well keep it, keep the tenant in there, keep the rent coming in, keep struggling to pay the service charges. I can't get my hands on the capital. There's no point.
Yeah.
But it looks like, so the solicitor asked me to get a redemption certificate because it should say on there if there are any terms and conditions. Well, it came through and it didn't. But from Googling...
So you mean that there isn't... In your redemption certificate, it doesn't say that they've got the right.
Well, because it's a new owner now, and if you think about it, the new owner, that's a management buyout team of the old owner, has presumably paid the old owner enough money to repay the government. Yeah. And of course, now they don't want people to pay off their mortgages because that's how they make a profit.
Yes, they only make money.
Yes. Exactly. So I Googled it and I discovered a man, lots of forums with people saying, the right to consolidate's gone with the old people. I've got 12 with them and I've sold one and nobody ever mentioned the words right to consolidate. So although that's not enough for my solicitor, it's enough for me to, if I can reach an agreement with this estate agent and get 120,000, it's enough for me to go on. But it's interesting how no matter what you try to do in some areas of your life, there are stoppages everywhere.
Oh, yeah. I mean, ongoing obstacles is just a fact of life, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But look how many there are. So actually, until this mortgage company sold themselves to themselves last year, from 2012 until now, I have been unable to sell my buy-to-let properties unless I decided to sell all 4.
God, I'm in shock at the shenanigans of it all. I really am.
Well, it goes back to the point about you said why when the discussion about my vibration being low. If you're like a little rat in a cage and you try that exit and it's blocked and that exit and it's blocked and that exit, no wonder you'd probably
stop trying eventually.
I think if you were a rat in a cage, you'd just die.
Yeah, you would.
Frankly.
Yeah. No, I'm still reeling from the shock that one estate agent can say that something's worth so much less than the other one, and then have the brass balls to say, but I can sell it to a developer friend.
Well, I sort of expected that. If they'd said to me, I can sell it to a developer for 99,000, your outstanding mortgage plus your outstanding service charges, and we'll pay your legal fees, I'd say, go on. And they would have still got something that was worth maybe something like 20 to 50,000 more in value.
But I can't understand how they can actually say.
Well, hang on. Then she asked me who was the other agent and what had they said, which fortunately I had a client, so I didn't have time to get back to her, and I haven't. I don't think that's any of her business.
No, it isn't any of her business.
And I'm not going to tell her. Right, anyway, no.
So it was the one who gave you that good deal with a glimmer of hope was the one with all the stars on their thing, was it?
Yes, but actually when I looked further into the stars, there were many more people with other star ratings, including the two that you recommended to me. And I don't think the woman that we're talking about, I don't think what she did was wrong, but actually it's so easy to find out what an outstanding mortgage is and all that kind of stuff that she would know there was no point in. What's the point in offering me 65,000? I'd have to find 30 something to sell it to her.
Yes, well, there you go. I'm astonished. I'm officially astonished of stupor.
Yes. Astonished of stupor.
Yes.
Right. Now, you see, this is why I'm ranting about this week on week, because it's quite interesting learning.
No, I love to hear.
It's quite interesting learning about how to be a buy-to-let landlord and a property investor.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
One of our previous lives.
Who or what's impressed you?
Well, I was going to say Neil Gaiman, the UK writer who
yes.
American.
Yes, well, I mean, and he's a shag as well, and he comes up with these marvelous. I hope you're following on Facebook because he comes up with these marvelous quotes.
No, I haven't been. I didn't know he existed till Sunday night.
For heaven's sake!
I know. I looked
constantly sharing his stuff.
Yeah, but I only just looked at his stuff, Wikipedia, and I see all these names of things like he's just brilliant.
Yes, he is brilliant.
He's a bit like Michael Marshall Smith, from. Neil Gaiman's not from Manchester, but Michael Marshall Smith's from Manchester. I mean, all these writers, British writers, making it big on the world stage, who I've never heard of.
He's a bit of a Renaissance man as well, actually.
What, Neil Gaiman?
Yes.
Yes, he does. He does poetry and reads loud and all sorts of things.
Absolutely. I have a friend who writes books for a living called Daphne, and we'd lost touch, and we made contact this week on Twitter, which was really nice.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Just at the point where you're getting interested in it all.
Well, not so much Twitter, but, writing.
Yes.
So I was able to say, and I've had a horrible decade, but I have published my own book and...
I bet she was impressed, wasn't she?
And she said something like, "Oh, what a nice photograph of you," or something.
Yes.
It was a good exchange anyway.
Yeah, very nice. Well, there you go. That was a very excitable week, wasn't it?
Oh, I haven't finished yet. I haven't told you who or what's impressed me. I've had to move one out of project updates, actually, because it was all a bit ranty in there. But we have a new Patreon, which you know about, actually, because I emailed you over the weekend. But I'm going to share it with the listener because Alison told me what was her trigger to patronise us. She said, I can't believe how often your show taps into whatever is on my mind. Yesterday, I was thinking about taking responsibility. I couldn't believe it when I started listening. It helped me to think things through, and that's when I decided to do the Patreon thing, because this has happened so many times before. So in my project of upping our income to $100 a month, we're up to 6 Patreons now, contributing 23. So we've gone up from $19 to $23. You can patronize us from our website, ownitthepodcast.com, or patreon.com/Nicola Cairnex.
Yes, and I've started patronizing The Guardian.
And other people, I think that's a good idea. Yes. Yeah. If we want to collect Patreons, we should be patronising other people.
That's exactly right. And I've also gone in for a couple of Kickstarter projects as well. So, I'm spending tiny bits of money, which makes me feel abundant because I feel like an investor and someone who's supporting other people.
And I'm going to shout out to Michi, who is one of our listeners, because she's got her Patreon page up this week as well.
Oh, good for her.
Yes, quite.
Come on, everyone.
Yeah.
Patreon page is up now. Get your screenplays written.
I think Patreon's time has arrived.
Yeah. Well, if you fancy being a screenwriter, just get in touch because I'll tell you what software I'm using. It's great fun.
Bye, listener.
Thank you for listening.
Okay, see you soon. Bye.
How do they do it? Not a care and suffering. Wanna step into their world.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.